Hello, everyone. Well, I am TrupsLP here with the owner of this channel here, Mr. Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
I'm still salty there's a channel called Cthulhu Show.
Yes, I had found that earlier today while trying to search for this channel, actually. Uh, I was surprised. It's called the Cthulhu and Friends
Oh, I'll
Show,
put it up for
and
everyone. There it is. Go send them hate, everyone. Do it. Do it now.
but don't. We don't
Do
encourage
it.
it here.
Not impressed.
Yes, but Mr. Omegon has been hard at work today. So his research time was severely cut short.
Yeah, I was
So
I was cleaning a bunch of properties with someone, and I found out someone who, in British celebrity terms, was quite famous back in the day. And I'm sure Disco and Joe know who this is. I was cleaning the home of one David Dickinson, who was very famous for a TV show called called Bargain Hunt, and he was renowned for being this like middle-aged, going on ancient man with a lot of fake tan on. Like, he was tan to the point where he looks like a really good leather.
That's not how a human being should look.
No, but cleaning his home certainly raised up. It was remarkable how cheap he was, but also how old he was, because the place just, oh, for fuck's sake, the only thing modern was the shower, and I got the feeling that only existed because because they need to wash all that fake tan off.
Now, is it fake tan or is it just
I
person
honestly,
late in the selling
I
tan?
couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. It's people who know what he looks like will know he's. Oh yeah, just type in David Dickinson Bargain Hunt, you'll get it, and you see him.
I've always been so concerned about that surname because you know how a lot of surnames came about. Be like, if your last name is Church, you usually lived by the church or you worked in the church.
Yeah.
What does Dickinson mean?
Dick in son. It means incest. Oh, it's Daddy Trups. Yes, it's.
Hello to you too, Stargazer.
Oh, dear God. Daddy Trups. Dear oh dear.
Yeah, you haven't seen my most recent video.
No, I've been working all
Omegon,
day, so I've been working for the time that I was awake, so no, not a chance. So,
oh well.
did you want to start with your little hurricane issue?
Oh yes. Well.
Oh, you have a video for this, don't you? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Was it a video? No. You didn't leave me an article on this, did you? No. Go on and tell everyone about your little breeze.
Oh yes. Well, here in the southeast United States, we are constantly under threat by these hurricanes around this time of year. Unfortunately, this one is poised directly in my direction, but they have been constantly telling all of us it's going to change on its varying wind speeds and categories. So I said I didn't really give a shit. I'm staying put. I have a stream to do. I have videos to put out. I don't feel like evacuating.
Fuck evacuation in my life. I'm going on Omegon stream channel.
I've gotten like 4 messages from my phone because of the area that I subscribe to. And it's like mandatory evacuations. I was like, okay, define mandatory.
Could you give us a breakdown, perhaps be a bit more upfront?
Yeah, like mandatory, like how mandatory are we talking?
People
like
who say that,
like
people who say that don't know what mandatory means. They're the people who say strawberry.
ew, that's not how that word. No.
Some retards say that. I saw it on Scrubs.
Yeah. Oh my God, is that a hurricane? Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. Wait for the weather.
I'm tempted.
Trups' next video is actually going to be a weather report. It's just going to be a video of him outside saying, "It's fucking windy."
I'll make one just for you.
Token black. Just get some boot polish. Make sure you look like a proper token black guy.
Oh yeah. Wait, because my avatar is black.
Exactly. I mean, we all think you have auburn hair, red hair, ginger, auburn.
No, I'm actually not. I'm not ginger, so that's always a good thing.
Well, that's Yeah, I mean, you've got a fiance, so I didn't think you could be ginger.
right? No, I'll go into the story about my avatar another time,
Yeah, another time.
but for now, yeah. So Category 2 hurricane is about what we're gonna get hit by, and then it's gonna be a tropical storm into a depression, and then it'll be gone, and then we'll get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good news.
Yep.
You're not going to die. Sorry, Disc and I, it appears we're not looting.
The common phrase for this area is "you loot, we shoot."
Yeah. Well, that's
America.
I was about to say. Did you want to start on one of your articles first, or would you like to go over Article 13 and Article 11 briefly?
Yeah, we'll go over one of mine first.
Okay, I pulled up the MSNBC one with Senator Jeff Merkley. There's a video for it. I don't know if I could play that.
Oh yeah, the FEMA thing.
I don't think I can play that because it might get copyright. It might get taken down, but we can try if you want.
Yeah, if you wanna go ahead. Here, let me get a timestamp.
You may remember
it's 18 minutes long. I'm not fucking playing 18 minutes.
No, I'm not. I'm just gonna get a timestamp for you.
Okay, cool. I'll get my tablet then because I can't see the chat with this up. Scroll. There we go. Right. Okay, I'll look at the chat for a second while I'm waiting. Damn you, mate. Yeah, I beat you. You can time him out again if you want, though, Disc. And I just have to click on his name and do it. Close that. I'm just send it to the chat while I'm here. So, hello to LHE Nuggets, Discard, Joe, Echo, Jesse, Stargazer, Leia. I never know how to pronounce that.
Alright, if you want to pull up the video at 8 minutes 30 seconds.
At what minute? What?
8 minutes 30 seconds.
8 minutes. 8:30.
Yep.
Wait. There we go.
And
right.
We can let them listen to that for a second.
8:15. Fuck's sake. It was so
Coast
hard
Guard is the life ring of hurricane response in this country.
That for a second. I'm going to wait for it to get up. Another 5 seconds. Fuck it. Okay, so this is...
Coast Guard. I mean, we have direct...
Do you want to explain what we're about to be watching?
Yeah, sure. So basically...
Hello, Vincent.
There was a document released by the DHS, that's the Department of Homeland Security, which currently is the overseer of our FEMA, which is our Federal Emergency Management Agency. There was a document that was released recently that said that the Trump administration was taking money out of the Coast Guard and FEMA to help fund ICE.
Okay.
And this is Rachel Maddox talking about it.
Okay.
Evidence from these pictures, right? Year after year after year, storm after storm after storm. Without the Coast Guard as rescuers of last resort, many more people would die in hurricanes in this country. So last night we brought you the story that Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, the Trump administration, this summer, at the advent of hurricane season this summer...
And Omegon, by the way, cut it after about a 10-minute mark.
Okay, well, I'm not going to play the whole thing through because that will get a copyright claim. So we'll have to pause at regular intervals anyway. Who is this very androgynous-looking lesbian?
It's Rachel Maddox off of MSNBC.
Oh, this is who Mundane Matt watches. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she is a dyke.
I don't know, but
they took money out of the budget
insane.
for FEMA. Just as hurricane season was getting underway, they chose to divert nearly $10 million out of FEMA.
Right, so I have to ask, because this is an obvious one. Money being taken out of FEMA, regardless of the amount, was it a good thing or a bad thing? Did it matter or not, as well?
In the case of FEMA, with a annual budget of about $13.6 billion in 2016 and $16 billion in more recent time,
That's a lot of
no,
money.
it's not going to matter from FEMA's point of view. But for what ICE had to deal with the immigration situation down in Texas and Arizona, yes, it mattered for
See,
that.
now I don't know enough about FEMA. My curiosity then goes towards what is the actual expenses of FEMA? What are they actually using? As are they using all the money in the sense that they're using it correctly, or are they just using it and then using it up for the sake of it?
Actually, FEMA doesn't always use up all the money. They get a certain, consider it like a stipend, right?
Yeah.
You get a certain amount of money, and this is money allocated for relief efforts should things go absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay. It's basically like an allowance, an emergency fund as well.
precisely.
See, I get that. A stipend. I do actually get that as well. I just wanted to make it dumb it down a little. So 10 million then, in hindsight, and I know I'm not trying to downplay it, but with your government's budget, the amount of money you have in the budget to begin with, 10 million really is nothing.
Right, but they never. And what's important is throughout most of the reporting of this, they have never mentioned the total annual allowance for FEMA, because 10 million by itself is a scary number.
Oh yeah, but compared to the over 10 billion budget, it's quite. I would argue it's inconsequential. This is solely used as a way of trying to make it seem like the Trump administration was taking a rather sizable chunk. Am I the only person that thinks this is not even 1%?
Dibula already made the comment. Look at that point, some fucking amount of zeros.
Yeah, exactly. It is such a. I didn't notice that actually. It's always that's because he's not timed out anymore. Okay, good. Behave yourself, Dibula. But yeah, okay. We'll let her talk a little longer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just ahead of hurricane season this year, the Trump administration appears to have transferred $10 million out of FEMA, out of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to instead give that money to ICE for jailing immigrants.
I can't pause it. Hang on.
Well, we got to.
I got to refresh it because it wouldn't let me pause. Okay, first thing. Do you know what the ICE budget is? Because if they needed 10 million, you've got to think, fuck me, these guys must have been hard up. If their budget's quite big as well.
Yeah, exactly. ICE has an annual budget of more than 5.7 billion.
Yeah.
So less than FEMA.
Yeah. So, and also, Dibula, you do make a good point. It's irrelevant because disaster relief is always passed after a disaster. Of course it is. I've seen this. I do pay attention to your politics. This happens every time. No, let's try and get.
You may remember that last night at this time we broke the news that.
I don't want to listen to this.
Isn't she just lovely?
Let me click on. Is that the right bit? Oh, this is such an annoying browser. Not browser. The video. I can't. Like, if I click on a piece of video.
I mean, we can just say fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm not fucking with that anymore. That's so annoying. Let's go back to this. That I would play more of that for those who are interested. But even though I'm not monetized yet, because I'm still not monetized even after 2 months of being eligible. I'd probably get a copyright strike. But also the browser, not the browser, but the video embed link. Oh no, there it is. It's finally. Oh, fuck you. I'm clicking off.
Yeah, fuck them.
I can't be bothered. I just can't. Alright.
This is what came of all that fucking money that went to news organizations to make a video streaming ability. Fuck that.
Okay, so
can't even embed a good video.
I've got a fact sheet from DHS. The fiscal year of 2017, which had 1.8 billion for a budget request for ICE.
Okay, that sounds relatively correct.
Yeah. It said here, but there's also an additional 3.2 billion to support ICE's enforcement and removal operations. So I don't know what that's about. That might be an extended.
Our removal is basically our deportation.
Yeah, but their budget then, when you compare to FEMA, it's not even 25%. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, 13 billion this year.
Right.
So yeah, it's 25% ish of FEMA's budget, and all they want is
just
10.
the
Is
DHS's budget.
and when you compare that in billions as well, just go for 10 million. Nah, fuck off. This is
Nah,
why.
it's not
This is
even-
why people call you. I was talking to a guy who I was doing the work with earlier, right? And he and I were talking about this, about the kind of content I do, and about how he didn't know about Article 13. I explained to him that if someone took a photo and uploaded it to social media, and somewhere within that there was a copyrighted logo, he could possibly get fined for it. He didn't know this, so I was explaining it to him, and I was explaining politics, and then we talked about fake news, because he actually mentioned one of the reasons he said who governs what news I receive then. And I said, well, that's the problem, because then the EU will dictate which bodies are allowed to pass over information. And I then pointed out to him something that I hadn't really thought about the argument about what the free market is in the single market. They call it a free market. It's not. It's a heavily regulated market. So heavily regulated that the only way you're allowed to operate within it is if you obey these remarkably strict rules. Therefore, it is not a free market.
The free market of education only exists on the internet. Any kind of commercial or private company that then deals in the distribution of information has a vested interest in what information is passed along.
Well, yeah, and of
therefore
course with
cannot
Articles
be-
11 and 13, that is going to change. That is, and I know I saw a number of memes actually for this. They had pictures of memes, like all the best known memes, and it was the infamous Thanos finger snap, and them all being erased.
Yeah.
It's appropriate. Hello, Carlos. It's just, in fact, I think now we've got a chance to move on to it. Oh, I fucking hate this. I had an article from alphr.com, but there's a fucking Microsoft ad that drags down with the page. But
Oh, I hate those.
yeah, they piss me off as well. So here we are.
They're getting clever.
Yeah, and I'll scroll up on the page so everyone can see it. I didn't link it to you, so I'll very quickly link it to you as well. There
Much
you are.
appreciated.
There you go. Basically, oh fuck it. See that? This fucking advert. I go to that paragraph just underneath the image here with today the Parliament voted on and approved,
so-
and then I scroll down,
Yeah, no.
can't see shit. Oh, so annoying. So yeah, the divisive legislation was put to the ultimate democratic test in Strasbourg, with 438 voting in favour with 226 voting against. This is different to the first vote that we knew about, because the first vote was only taken with representatives of each member state. So one person representing each state voted. And the vote was, I think a couple countries abstained. I think Hungary actually abstained, which is another interesting discussion, because obviously they themselves are having their voting rights removed because they refuse to open their borders and welcome loads of rather nasty people in. I have a number of Hungarian friends I've been in contact with recently because of this crap, and they support it. They're young and they support this, and I understand. There's nothing wrong with wanting to protect your country's interests first, which is surely
Eastern European countries are going to be leading this this effort of self-preservation soon.
Oh yeah, I've seen the
and
memes with all the countries that have. There's that meme with all the pictures. Every country with a variation on Brexit, except for Poland, which was Noland. I get it. I do. I really do. Because it was any country. What is the first job of a government? What is
Protect the country's interests.
Exactly. That is the job of government. If the job of government is to bend over to something else that then tells them what they can and can't do, then who the fuck is the government? What's
That's
the point?
whole thing with a lot of the developed nations in the UN and NATO. That was the biggest contention. People were like, "Well, we shouldn't really have NATO," and everyone flipped to shit. And so, well, why don't we want to do business with NATO or the UN? Well, because we are our own people, and if we are expected to toe the line of them, then are we really doing things for us?
This is
sound like
where
it.
many have, and it just this really does. It reinforces every single belief that the EU is not it cannot be reformed, even though the populist governments are now populist beliefs are growing. It can't be changed, It's self-serving. It serves the elite. It is basically the Conservative Party, but for Europe. It doesn't serve the interests of the people. It doesn't think of the actual people. It instead thinks of itself. We know this because I've seen their expense budgets. Fucking hell. Oh, and this is quite good. The next paragraph here. The proposed changes have split opinions, and then you go further. You got Wycliffe Jean, who I remember him. He did a song with The Rock. John. But you got here internet presences who have claimed the laws will mark the end of meme culture and user-generated content. If I scroll further down, we have Susan Wojcicki who tweets out about it, which leads to a YouTube creator blog, which I'll also link to you. There you go. And it does go into detail about how concerning this is. And it's in parts of the proposal under consideration, potentially undermine this creative economy, discouraging or even prohibiting platforms from hosting user-generated content. This outcome will not only stifle your creative freedom, it could have severe negative consequences for the fans, the communities and revenue you have all worked so hard to create. If Google cares so much, why, when Google was trying to challenge this, did they invest so little into it? And that's not a joke. I learned about that yesterday. They've invested fuck all in trying to argue against this. Google's best option, if this goes through, is to literally pull out of Europe. Why bother trying to be a part of it? I can't even view article. In fact, and people in the stream won't know this. If I can't view an article, LA Times or recent articles that I linked to you, in fact, about Kaepernick, if I can't view them, I send them to an American who archives it for me and sends the archive link to me. Because I can't view because of EU bollocks. Actual rules that stop me from seeing news. Who the fuck are they to determine what news I'm allowed to see? Who the fuck are they? Because that's not right. I should be free to see whatever I want because I'm allowed to. It's my right as a British citizen anyway. I'm not a European citizen. Well, okay, I'm a British subject. But still, my rights in this country supersede the nonsense that comes out of EU.
And the important thing to remember is that it's not even like a specific bias that EU is preventing you from seeing, because the LA Times or what was it, the Sun that you had an issue with as well. Like most of them are left-leaning or right-leaning. It doesn't actually matter.
Actually,
the EU is censoring across the board. Didn't actually care what the thing is, and that's the real concern.
So
we should.
I have something for that. This article, which we're now going to look at very quickly, and I'm going to link to you as well. You'll know from the title of it which website this comes from. Which website, one of the most biased British outlets, came up with this. The EU Parliament approves new copyright rules that could be catastrophic for the internet. From The Independent. Even The Independent is against this. It would, and quite rightly in the third paragraph, campaigners warn that would probably force internet companies to introduce stringent new automated checks that content must pass before they are posted to platforms like Twitter and Facebook. That could reject anything that even possibly infringed copyright, leading to potentially banning memes that use screen grabs from films, for instance, according to campaigners. It isn't according to it. It's very. We know this. The algorithms they want to introduce would copyright claim virtually everything. I'm very concerned for the content that I do, which is, it does mean I would have to shift, and that's fine. I can do that if my content wants to be seen in Europe. That is, in continental Europe, because my content would be fine. We don't know how the UK is going to deal with this, and that's such an uncertainty. If we have to, even though the Prime Minister has said we are leaving virtually everything, if we remain a part of something, I can imagine this being a part of it, because she's a bit of a fan of the EU's the internet laws. I stand by needing a Digital Rights Act, isn't it? Is that what it was called? Digital Human Rights Act or something?
It can be intellectual property laws.
No. People have been touting this term, a digital bill of rights. That's it. Bill, yeah.
Yeah.
And I support that. I think there should be. I don't like. Okay, I agree. There should be some rules, I guess. I guess. But I think
I don't know. For me, I'm tempted to say that they should honestly follow, um, free speech laws in every sense of the word.
yeah,
Because most free speech laws are contingent on no harm being done to a person, whether that be libel, slander, or calls to violence.
and I fully support VPNs. I actually am supposed to get. I need to get a new one actually, because that's one way I could get around that little inability to see American articles.
But you may be considered a Russian bot.
Couldn't give a fuck. The real pain in the backside is that if I continue with the style of content I do, which I like doing what I do, if I have to change it and not link to sources, then I've got to find another way to be able to link sources to people, because I do not want to do what could be considered op-ed videos, just me rambling on for however long. To me, that's a bit of a cop-out. I want to be able to present information if information is relevant. I shouldn't have to go so far as maybe I'll have to draw the charts myself, but I'll do it like maybe I'll do it in Paint, so there'll be lots of shaky lines. Oh, this is the gender pay gap. Ignore the squiggles. I made a few mistakes but couldn't be bothered to rub them out. I'll do it on paper.
File all of them.
I could do it on a piece of paper and take a photo.
And then file all of them under like category animation.
Yeah. And what I'll do is, because I've drawn them and I own the copyright, I will just say outright, free to use. Because I'm not a massive cunt. If people ask me, if people ask me all the time if they can borrow my avatar image for a thumbnail or something, I always send it because I just don't care. Everyone, it's not many people watch my videos. They actually listen, so I know it's less about the avatar. It's more about the voice. So I get it. So I don't really care about sharing that. And I've had issues with people like Public, I think, they terminated my account temporarily because my avatar was copyrighted material. No, it fucking wasn't. It was mine.
Right. But that's the thing. In America, we have these things called Creative Commons laws. And they become even more complicated because Creative Commons has like up to 4 different classifications.
Mm-hmm.
There's Creative Commons, which is free to edit, use, and transform.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's basically just the derivations of all those possibilities.
Yeah.
And certain things require certain kinds of credits. For example, most of the music that you hear, like free music, comes from a site called Incompetech, which
Actually, that's
is made by a guy named
Kevin MacLeod, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know this. I don't know where the song I use comes from, the outro stuff I have, but that does actually raise a question as well, because we have on this site copyright-free music, royalty-free music. We have that, and it exists. I mean, some people even put disclaimers in their descriptions saying, "You can mirror this." I just don't. I think Pat Condell does that.
Mm-hmm.
Mirror it. Don't edit it. Don't monetize it. Mirror it though if you want, and that's fine. That really is. He sets his terms and he's fine. And I'm fully support that kind of crap. And by the way, to address Dibula, get some crayons. I actually have a ream of paper and some drawing pads, but I don't have any Crayola, so donate to my Streamlabs and I'll buy some crayons. I'm kidding.
You have to get like mittens for.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I've got I've ordered the tentacle mitts. I'll order those. No, I haven't ordered them yet. I will order those next week because I've got to choose colours. I will buy some crayons next week.
Yes,
that's fine. I'll buy them, and I'll even draw a little page on the front, copyright ownership in really babyish writing, like really childish writing,
like backwards S and shit.
Oh yeah. Really, yeah. Oh god,
I love it.
Oh. This archive is property of Omegon. Copyright. Yeah.
Copyright 2018. Little TM.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I do not support Articles 11 and 13. I do want to go onto the European Parliament page. I will link it to you now as well because I've forgotten to.
Alright.
But obviously I didn't have a chance to. Here we are. This is taken directly from the European Parliament website. Where it says tech giants must pay for work of artists and journalists which they use. Small and micro platforms excluded from directive scope. So possibly BitChute, Gab might be okay. Although I have heard rumours Gab might be affected by something. Hyperlinks accompanied by individual words can be shared freely. Journalists must get a share of any copyright-related remuneration obtained by their publishing house.
Oh,
So I get the journalists getting paid bit, because a lot of people think they're underpaid. I think they're fucking twats, but I only say that after 3 years of noticing their their intellectual honesty is virtually non-existent.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like, okay, when somebody goes into journalism, if your idea is I'm gonna make so much money, then you're fucking going in wrong. It's like the same kind of feeling that I have for senators and House of Representatives. Like, you are going to hold a public office to promote the interests of your constituents. If you're going in there thinking I'm gonna make so much money, you're not a public servant anymore. And no one should vote you in because you're not doing it for the right fucking reasons.
Well, that's an interesting point, because when the original vote took place, the UK representative, a Conservative, voted in favour of it. But as we all know, after all the hoopla that was generated by social media folk, and I was watching a Dan Keeler video earlier about his little Strasbourg stay, which was hilarious. They sort of bent a little. But obviously, this and others have said this. This isn't the end of it. Yes, they voted in favour of it, but that isn't the final destination. It's got to be agreed. Everything has to be hammered out. Although the amendments that were originally attached to it were, I believe, smacked down. The copyright rules and supposed safeguards to protect small firms and freedom. Oh, this here, freedom of expression. No. We know that's not the case. We know this is clamping down. This is not a tinfoil hat thing. The ones they're talking about here are tech giants to share revenue, fair paid artists, protecting freedom of expression. Okay, this is the one I actually want to. Wikipedia won't be affected. Open source software platforms will not be affected. But the protecting freedom of expression. The text includes provisions to ensure that copyright law is observed online without unfairly hampering the freedom of expression that has come to define the internet. If it truly was freedom of expression, you wouldn't have to use that term when explaining how you're actually taking it away. That is bollocks. Thus, merely sharing hyperlinks to articles together with individual words to describe them will be free of copyright constraints. I don't think this is true. So if this is a case of me adding sources, it might get around, but I'm not inclined to believe that's true. I think it'll pick it up, and if I then use images from the article, it'll pick it up. I'd have to... Okay, so for people who don't know, when I crop images for my videos, I try and crop it down so only the words are visible. I don't generally use images from it, and I don't use a screen share, which would include where the site is, and that's intentional. I don't want to... I've been getting to this habit of not wanting to share that. I will link the article, and then you can, of course, character assassinate the journalist and the media outlet. But as far as I'm concerned, I only want the words.
Yeah,
I try and be a bit more I try and talk a bit more with an opinion than, for example, Mr. Jarbo, but only because I can't be bothered to read the whole fucking article.
If I can, I try and take the whole article or at least the author, just so I can at least put credit to it, so that if they do get me, I can be like, "What? I put your name on it. It's attached to it. What the fuck do you want?"
Yeah. You've got here also stronger negotiating rights for authors and performers. I don't really care about that crap. I do care about the open source software platforms, because isn't OBS that? Open source software. GitHub. I don't know what GitHub is, so I'm gonna have to look that up at some point.
GitHub is basically a massive software center where people do developments and can track team progress. It's
Oh, I
basically
don't care.
it's a very, very crucial tool that a lot of people have been using. It's been integrated in so many internal development environments
Yeah.
that it's almost crucial to most software developers.
Okay. I'm going to move on to one more article for this before we move on to your, or the rest of your stuff, actually. I'm going to link to you from The Verge. All these, by the way, if anyone's interested, are linked in the description. Not in order, because we didn't plan that far ahead. I literally didn't have the time today. I really was... I slept for 11 hours, okay? That's one of the I don't sleep for more than 5 hours, so clearly my body needed it. We're going to move to this. What is the directive trying to achieve? And I'm going to let you read that because my throat hurts a little.
Much of the outrage has been over two parts of the directive, Articles 11 and 13, but their intent, when described by supporters anyway, is pretty benign. That's... okay, citation. Article 11 simply gives publishers the right to ask for paid licenses when their news stories are shared by online platforms, even if it's your own platform. While Article 13 says that online platforms are liable for content uploaded by users that infringe copyright.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, go to Article 11, because this is the... yeah, this is the link tax that people know about. This is the part that actually would undermine, I think, undermines the Article 13 reference, which I'm going to quickly go back to about here. Thus merely sharing hyperlinks to articles together with individual words to describe them will be free of copyright constraints. Doesn't mean they are free of link tax.
Article 11 is the so-called link tax, which gives publishers a right to ask for paid licenses when online platforms share their stories. The obvious target is aggregators like Google News, but opponents worry the law could have broader applications. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, because there's no we don't, and this is the problem. I've mentioned clandestine. That is how the EU has operated. A lot of it happening not very publicly. We don't. Is there a C-SPAN for EU Parliament? I have not seen it. I've seen a few videos on YouTube, but I just don't see much of it take place. And of course, let's not forget here, so many different fucking languages. For God's sake. Just speak, and I'm going to quote Sargon and Dankula actually in that video I was watching earlier. If you've got anything important to say, you're better off saying it in English, because at least then it sounds correct, as opposed to saying it in French. Sorry, I mean saying it in surrender. Just carry on, fucking hell.
Some extreme interpretations have suggested that this might even stop ordinary web users sharing news stories, but the text of Article 11 does not exempt individuals. It says that the new rights given to publishers shall not prevent legitimate, private, and non-commercial use of press publications by individual users.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe it either.
And also, if we're going to provide commentary on something written by someone else, why on the? I mean, why should I then? It's almost like, and I do wonder if this gets around it. Some websites now, or some news sites like the Times, to view their articles, you have to create an account. Now that's free, and you can view X number of free articles a week. But if you want to view all of them, you pay £1 for 8 weeks. So 2 months worth, essentially, for £1. Would that mean I'm then, because I have paid for the privilege to view it, paid for the right to use it?
I don't know, because that kind of sounds like you're paying for the rights that you were given by being a British citizen.
That's actually a really good point. I mean, it's the same if they did this in your country. I mean, it can't be done, really, because your constitution is almost ironclad, to be honest. Our constitution, though, is a little bit different. Ours is in many pieces, and it's like Voldemort's Horcruxes. We don't know where they are.
They're somewhere.
They're somewhere, but they're quite difficult to find.
We don't know all the shit that's in our laws either.
No, it gets really complex, and that's the problem with some of the stuff that they are putting forward. I'm not convinced that they're doing this in people's interest. It does come across as very elitist. Like, it is very much a case of only these people we're okay with. They won't have to pay the taxes because they're the ones, quotes, creating it. But then who is creating the news? Who's actually reporting the news is the problem, because the only sources that would get through are those that are backed by what, Soros?
sometimes.
It's just Rupert Murdoch, if he still has any.
Yeah, right.
It's I can't be fucked with this anymore. There is a bit more on Article 30, the upload filter, if you want to quickly read the first paragraph to that.
Oh, yeah. The far bigger headache is Article 13, dubbed the upload filter by critics.
It is.
It says that platforms storing and giving access to large amounts of works and other subject matter uploaded by their users are liable for copyright infringement committed by users, meaning they can be sued by rights holders. So platforms and copyright holders must cooperate in good faith, bullshit, to stop this infringement from happening in the first place. I'm sorry. As soon as you say platforms and copyright holders must cooperate in good faith, fuck off. You telling me that you guys just now decided to work in good faith?
Yeah, no, that's not how this works. And I can you imagine, right, reaching out to someone who wrote an article, right, and saying, I have some criticisms of your article. Can I talk about that? Can I use your article? You know damn well when you offer any criticism to somebody who's really delicate, they're not going to say yes. They're going to block you.
You know what's interesting though? I found this post earlier, and it actually was corroborated by other people in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a post that basically said, you know those websites where all of our studies are, and you have to pay to see our study? Don't bother. Just email us and we'll send you the study. We want you to use our stuff. It gives us confirmation that what we said was worth something.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who wrote PhDs and all those kind of things, they'll let you use their stuff. Just if I can send them an email, they'll send it right by.
Yeah. I'm going to read one last bit from this before we move on to your 3 remaining articles. The spectre of an upload filter has been framed by critics as the EU trying to kill your memes. Yes, it is. Proponents of the bill say this isn't the case and that previous laws make parodies and memes exempt from copyright claims. Redder claims this doesn't help. There are 2 problems with this. The first is that exceptions or limitations to copyright on a European level differ from country to country, and a lot of countries do not have exceptions for memes, for example. The second problem is that even where memes are legal, upload filters would not be capable of distinguishing between them and infringing material. Nail, head, perfect, bam, fuck it, let's move on to your Nike shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's my Southern Comfort?
That's right, drink our booze.
It's really good. It's not so good neat, and I
agree.
don't have any orange juice to go with it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I actually don't have any either.
Sad
But I have
times.
some Crown.
Crown Royal.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Apple whiskey's
Yeah, I
good.
quite like it.
I know a lot of people.
Tried that one.
I tried it once a couple of years. Applejack was the first thing I'd had. And then I found out there was apple whiskey, and I was like, well, it's not really whiskey. It's not 40%, but fuck it, it's good.
Right. It's pretty damn good, right?
Might buy a bottle now, actually.
All right. So Nike article. So this was the whole thing about Colin Kaepernick, and what I wanted to show was you scroll down to the second paragraph where it starts with among people ages.
Yep, read it.
Among people ages 18 to 34, 44% supported Nike's decision to use Kaepernick, while 32% opposed it, according to an SSRS omnibus poll provided exclusively to CNN. In the 35 to 44 age bracket, the decision earned support among a majority, 52%, compared to 37% who were against it. Something that was very interesting that I noticed there was that 18 to 34-year-olds were almost half and half, because basically what you have left over was a 76 total, so about 24% were unsure.
Yeah.
So basically what you have here is...
You know what it is? Those 24% are Adidas customers. They don't give a shit. Exactly. They don't give a shit because Nike is shit. It's this massive fuss about Nike. Yes, okay, I've heard those J's are pretty damn fly. I really haven't. I really want a pair of the Back to the Future Nikes. I want them. Of course I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do. But other than that, I've owned in my lifetime 2 pairs. And one of them squeaked recently. So ever since I got them, they just squeaked. I'm like, what was the point of that? I can't. I had to walk around on my toes. I'm not doing that. It hurts my knees after a while. It's not because of weight or anything. It's just because you're putting pressure in the wrong places. And so I'm a Reebok guy because I like what are they called? Oh, fuck's sake, they're like my favourite trainers as well. And I can't remember the name. I know what I can do. Go to another browser. Because I have to remember this. ZigTech. That's what they are. Reebok ZigTechs. They are my favourite trainers. And they're so comfortable. Honestly. They're soft. They look fucking shit hot. Nike, though, are shit. Carry on.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to keep going, just scroll down a little bit. Older adults were less supportive of the move. Only 26% of adults over 65 backed the decision.
Probably because they don't wear a Nike, do they? I mean, can you imagine that a guy, a geriatric 85-year-old, wearing a pair of Air Maxes? That fucker couldn't afford them.
Yeah, they wear New Balance.
They won't even wear Crocs, okay? Even they're too smart for that. Adidas Superstars are the best trainers. Reebok ZigTechs, nigga. Hang on, I'm just going to trigger her. Gothic.
Oh, okay.
Carry on.
So if you want to scroll down to this poll, shows a sharp split along age, class, and racial lines. That's a little ways down to the bottom.
The poll shows a sharp split, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Done. Go.
Yeah. So a plurality of poll respondents, 41%, opposed the company's choice of Kaepernick, while 37% supported the move. The rest were unsure. Now, I thought this was odd because based on how they started off the article, it's almost like they were banking on the fact that they never were going to get down to the bottom of the article.
That's a good point, because that doesn't really fall in line with those that engaged in the poll to begin with. This is a bit disingenuous. Ooh.
Yes, it is, and it's intentionally done so, because once you see the thing that you were looking for, you'll stop reading. But if you keep going, but a majority of African Americans and college-educated Americans supported the ad. 68%.
Imagine my shock. They like Jordans. Okay.
68% of black people approved, while only 16 were against it.
Uncle Tom's.
I want to point out that CNN decided to use the term "black people." Weren't they supposed to be the progressive people of color users?
I thought we were at the stage where we were super progressive and said niggers of color.
Jesus.
By the way, and I really am critical of this. The poll conducted through September 4th to 9th among random national sample of 1,008 adults. Right. I am instantly dismissing this. To truly represent a nation, you need a sample size of 1%. Your country's population is over 300 million. In what universe is 1,008 1%? If your population was 108,000, maybe. Or 100,800. Yes. But it's not. You div.
And it's also random national sample of adults with no indication of whether or not they often bought Nikes or not.
Yeah, this is also another thing that when you've got the free market to work with, you'd have to conduct it in every state. You'd have to do it in more... obviously, it'd have to be densely populated areas. But it would have to be conducted so intelligently. And this does not qualify because it is not even 1%. This article is predicated on a lie. That is not 1%. Fuck yourselves. Seriously.
And people wonder why CNN is fake news.
Yes, and as Prospero in the chat wrote, why do you think the polling for Hillary was so wrong? That's quite right.
Until literally there was no chance of her winning too.
You mean at like 2 a.m.?
Literally. No, I mean, it was still like 99.8% at, I think it was, what, 280?
I watched the Young Turks on the night that happened, and at about 2 a.m.,
So good.
yeah, honestly, anyone who didn't have an erection had one at that moment. When Anna Kasparian said, "I'm better than you." Oh God, yeah, that was good.
Oh, so good.
Oh yeah. Quality banter. Let's close these articles because I don't need them anymore.
You wanna hop over to the Cory Booker one?
Yes, that's already up.
All right.
Just closing tabs. There we go.
That's fine. Just to the first paragraph.
Yep. Who is Cory Booker, by the way? Because before you start this, who is Cory Booker?
Sure. Cory Booker is a New Jersey state Democrat senator who was on the panel for Judge Kavanaugh, the Trump nominee for Supreme Court, for his hearing.
Is Cory Booker the mixed race guy on the right in the video thumbnail? Or is he the pasty white guy? Is that Kavanaugh?
No, yeah, Kavanaugh is the one on the left, Booker is the one on the right.
Right. I know he's mixed race, by the way. There's no way he's fucking black.
Right, exactly. So Cory Booker was painted as a liberal hero in the media after his dramatic pledge Thursday to release confidential emails sent by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, and the adulation from the media continued even hours after it was revealed that the documents were neither particularly damning nor confidential. So it is good to make note that this is a Fox News article, so they will slam Booker a little harder. But basically what ended up happening was Kavanaugh had a series of emails that was indicating some forms of racial profiling post 9/11.
Oh, racial profiling. Oh, God.
Well, after 9/11, the racial profiling, Kavanaugh used to be an advisor to the Bush White House.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So a lot of the criticism came from Kavanaugh accepting the fact that some racial profiling may be a valid tool against the potential terror threat. Now, he didn't say necessarily one way or the other, or he didn't advocate for it. He merely stated that it was a potential tool to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't even like that bad of racial profiling. It was more closely related to immigration profiling.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, where did you come from? Saudi Arabia? Perhaps we should take a look at you.
Well, you don't exactly. Do you support human rights? If your answer is no, go stand over there. I'll do your body cavity search in a moment.
Right. Now, what's interesting about this is that Cory Booker basically was saying that he was going to go off on this moment and stand up and yell, "I am Spartacus. I am doing this for the rights of everyone."
This is the closest, about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an "I am Spartacus" moment. That is a quote from the article.
You know what's funny though? I believe the whole "I am Spartacus" was the fact that everyone stood up, so that Spartacus couldn't be named.
I could play the video and try and find it.
But he made this so about him that he missed the entire Spartacus.
This hearing is
aspect.
neither entertaining nor appropriate for you.
Let it play in the background to see if that comes up. Why on earth did he think he's a Spartacus though? If we now know this is not remotely damning, then what the fuck is going on?
Because a lot of people didn't think that it was relevant or important to bring up in the meeting, but he was strongly supporting any kind of thing that could possibly delay or stop Kavanaugh's confirmation. The entire beginning of this hearing, at the start of the first day, included about an hour worth of Democratic senators trying to delay, postpone, or completely stop the confirmation hearing.
Right. Okay, so I think I found a clip where this dickhead speaks.
So many of these documents are dumped us in the last minute, but to Senator Cornyn actually made a very good point. I knowingly violated the rules that were put forth, and I'm told that the committee confidential rules have knowing consequences. And so, sir, I come from a long line, as all of us do as Americans, understand what that kind of civil disobedience is, and I understand the consequences. So I am right now, before your process is finished, I'm going to release the email about racial profiling. And I understand that the penalty comes with potential ousting from the Senate. And if Senator Cornyn believes that I violated Senate rules, I openly invite and accept the consequences of my team releasing that email right now.
And I just want to say to my...
So that's him basically admitting he's releasing the email.
Right.
Ooh, what a scary moment. Wait, is there a... Oh, yeah. Because revelation was largely ignored by the mainstream media.
But you know what's funny though? He posts the links to a scribd.com release of the emails.
Yeah, I know, because I just gone to the Twitter and I can pull it up for everyone who wants to see it.
Yeah. Did you notice on the Twitter that his pinned tweet is Wednesday, I broke committee rules by reading from a committee confidential docs?
Lol, lol, lol,
Like,
lol,
oh,
lol.
Yeah. You're proud of yourself, ain't you?
I like the flag on ebony. That's a funny way of saying nigger. I don't want to create an account. Oh, here we go. Right, so the confidential email. Here we are. Talk to the AG about John Yoo. Blah blah blah. Committee confidential. Oh right, Kavanaugh. I think we should postulate remaining seats. Instant. Blah 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 blah. Pulling down a nominee will send a very bad message to Senate Democrats and seriously complicate our lives. Okay, I'm on it, but he was my magic bullet. You must find an alternative to the Irma freight train. I'm liking these emails, by the way. I have yet to see anything that's too damaging, to be honest.
No, honestly, they weren't at all. And the fact that he put so much effort onto it, it's no wonder that even the Democratic news agencies were like, we're not going to talk about this guy. He's fucking...
I'll be honest, and there's more pages. There's 5 pages in total. For the first page, there's just nothing. Kavanaugh letter, overdraft fee bill, letter to Nielsen. Let's check the second page. God, I can't be bothered with this shit. No, fuck it.
And most of the senators couldn't be bothered either. They were like, give me one piece of evidence that shows that he's a bad person. No, you don't have that? Okay, fuck off.
To Cory Booker. Enjoy retirement? I mean, senators, from what I'm aware, they get paid really well, and if they serve a certain X number of years, they get a really good pension. Enjoy retirement.
Yeah, they give that to themselves, by the way.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, they made an amendment that they got paid a certain amount. Fuck them.
Yeah, you're paid, and it's quite. I often find it quite funny that Bernie Sanders is a socialist. How much does he make a year again? Fucking hell. Well, they get what, 150 grand a year or something?
The biggest question to ask is how many of these senators live in the constituencies that they claim to represent?
Oh, the district, yeah.
Like, how many of them really live in there? Like, if you represent Newark, do you have a Newark apartment?
Let's have a look. U.S. Senator salary. Delegates to the House of Representatives, 174,000. Fucking hell. President pro tempore of the Senate, 193,000. That is amazing. And obviously the leader of the Senate gets 193,000 as well. Isn't that the the vice president?
Yeah. Oh, wait, what was it you said?
Hang on. Oh, fuck it. No, go back. The majority leader and minority leader of the Senate, are they the leaders of...
No.
No, that's not the chair then. Okay.
Unlike your guys' politics, our minority leaders and majority leaders are more of individuals within the House.
Okay, well, I have another thing to add then. Do senators get expenses?
I'm going to say probably yes, based on the things that they do probably for their areas. But I think that is probably...
They get an allowance for it. They get an allowance for office expenses, as it's called. Let's see. They're allowed to spend more than 900 grand on salaries for up to 18 permanent employees. Each senator is given a $500,000 budget to hire up to 3 legislative assistants. They get 40,000 for furniture, 3 grand for expenses while outside their home districts, their insurance and retirement. In an age when the 401k blah blah blah, they get they get 5% contribution crap. Wow, they get holy fuck, they get as much as EU members. Jesus.
Yeah, and they're the ones fucking complaining about how the money is being spent. Remember that whole thing that we just talked about?
Hello, Arctonstein, by the way. Okay. Did you want to touch on the final thing we have then? Cory Booker's obviously...
We only have about 1 minute, so that's completely up to you.
Well, quickly, John Kerry, being a twat. John Kerry, for those who don't know, former presidential nominee of the Democratic Party, lost pretty much the moment he decided to salute in the cringiest way possible. He lost to George Bush. Come on. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of George Bush, but yeah, you little prick, you lost when you did that stupid little salute. That was so cringy. I even knew what cringe was back when he did that in 2004. Was it 2003? 2003, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2003, because in the election was 2004. Yeah. Yep.
I was like 17, and I knew what that was. That was so cringy. That was so cringy. So what's he done?
I can do a quick abridged version. So, John Kerry slammed for shameful shadow diplomacy with meetings with Iran. Former Secretary of State John Kerry is being slammed for conducting shadow diplomacy with Iran after admitting to multiple meetings with Iranian officials behind the backs of the Trump administration officials.
Okay, so what is John Kerry's current position? What is he?
Ex-Secretary of State.
What is he though now? What is he?
I would argue that's about it. He would be a private citizen at this point.
If he's a private... he can do it. I will say this now. Unless he's planning for 2020, which he's going to lose, because I'm in the race. You're fucked, okay? You're going to lose. Against me anyway. And so I think you still will against Trump. Sorry, but you are. But unless he's planning for 2020 and doing these meetings anyway, or if he's just doing them and having chats with people, maybe he's sat around a table playing Cards Against Humanity with some people. He's just got the question, what was the world's greatest event? And he's got the card that he knows will win. It will certainly appease the Iranians. Auschwitz. Unless he's just meeting people to chat and it's being played a bit too much, what is he doing? Trying to arrange... What was he trying to accomplish? Is he preempting 2020 or is he
That's
just...
possible. One of the things that he mentioned is he says, if you scroll down a little bit to about 3 paragraphs above his face, it says, "What I have done."
Yep.
What I have done is try to elicit from him what Iran might be willing to do in order to change the dynamic in the Middle East for the better.
Also, it wasn't Cards Against Humanity. If he's doing this, why is Hillary not doing it? I mean, she was also
absolutely insane.
If she is, she also uses a back brace. She'd be thrown off a building with that. Okay, so he's very open about the fact he's actually conducting diplomatic missions, I guess, with...
Right.
But that's a bit reckless. I don't know if that's reckless or not. Maybe it is. I mean, I get...
It is.
Oh, it's such a difficult one as well. I think if you're going to do this, you do need to get some kind of approval. A sign of good faith from the president, at least, with this kind of mission. Especially if what you intend to do goes against what the current administration is in favour of, which would be those sanctions. What you're doing goes against that.
Not only that, but it's also against the law.
Oh, is it?
Yes. There is a suggestion that he may have violated the Logan Act.
Here it is.
Which is when which is basically, they mention here, other suggested hypocrisy was at play, given the suggestions that then Trump National Security Advisor Mike Flynn violated the Logan Act for his meetings with the ambassador.
What's that? I just heard he's going to be brought before a Senate committee.
Right?
Oh, maybe we'll get more out of him than we did Jack Dorsey. I'm done with this.
But yeah, because he's a private citizen, he may have also violated the law.
Okay. Right, well. Enjoyed prison. I hear Gitmo's still going, so an orange jumpsuit for you? Okay. Before we finish, is there anything you'd like to shill or say? And if you do you want to put it in the chat so people can see it?
Yeah, sure. Here, let me pull it up real quick.
Busy
So
times.
I just did a video and posted that
Oh
earlier
yeah, the
today.
daddy. Yes. Sorry, I didn't say it right. Daddy.
Oh, I tried to put it in chat and I got yelled at.
Oh, you don't have a wrench, do you? Type in the chat.
Nope.
There you go.
Thank you.
Moderator. Done. Sorted. Should have given you one of those ages ago. I want people to send me audio clips of them saying "daddy" in the sexiest voice possible. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to use it in a video. I'm just saying, "Daddy."
Here, it's still not letting me send it, so I'm just gonna send it to you and you can post it.
Okay, just give it to me. It's not the link tax already, is
There.
it?
I have no idea. It's just this error at this point. But anyway, it's a video that I just posted
There you go, everyone.
answering the
Oh wow,
the
I
question.
couldn't do it either. Holy
Oh,
shit!
wow.
Oh no, there is a way around it. Okay, so I will instead remove youtube.com/ and I'll put that. So people can, if they add that to the end of youtube.com/ and then insert the watch link, I can't add links. Holy shit!
Huh.
That's different.
That's weird.
It is weird. Okay.
But that video is answering the age-old question: why do girls like to call guys daddy?
I assume you covered the girls who have good relationships with their fathers aspect.
Yeah.
Good. I'll watch that tomorrow then, because I need to. After this, we'll have a little chat. I need to then record, which was supposed to be for today's video, but it will be out tomorrow instead. For those who don't know, then I overslept massively. I think my body needed it, so I wasn't able to record. But I was also busy last night on a stream of Cognitive Thought, so I couldn't record at all. And I will hopefully have a video out tomorrow morning after I've covered him again. And who thumbed that down? Was it you,
Quite
Dylan?
busy.
I'll get you for that, you bastard. I saw that. To the people who joined, thank you very much for joining us. Don't give him confidence, Joe. Oh, hang on, I'll fix it.
It's her fault.
I'll fix it. Don't worry. I'll just. There we go. Can't have you giving him props. Do you want to say goodbye, Trups?
Bye, Trups.
Goodbye, Trups. Good night.